So before we get down to the very finest details of how we approach a job search, I'd like to briefly talk about situation in general. So the effect of COVID. I know a lot of freshers here. I know a lot of job seekers are in this group. So a few common threads that will be running in your mind is like, how do we manage this time of uncertainty? So when we talk about uncertainty, there should be a good recognition that in any situation, any career, any industry, uncertainty is going to be a permanent part of your progress. So COVID or not, market down or not, there will always be some degree of uncertainty. So to be in a mentally strong place, one thing we can do is like try not to avoid uncertainty, but rather than take up some skills to know and how to manage uncertainty. So one of the things that happens in a time of a crisis like COVID is one of the first things to fly out of the window would be the perspective, because the panic sets in and nobody knows how things will unfold. So it all also how you manage this situation also depends on how you see this situation. So how you see a crisis determines what you will do in that crisis. So we often see different kinds of responses. Every individual is different and they take a different kind of approaches. Some people is like, hey, this is too hard for me to handle. Let me not do anything for 3 months, and when things settle down, I'll do something about it. So that is one kind of response. And some people they do more than actually what they normally do. So that is another kind of response. So it all depends. It also depends on how you see this crisis. And if you just look into the environment and if you give into that panic, that may not be the best place to be. But rather than we have to see what is the best course forward. And also in the time of crisis, as you may have seen in the news, in the earlier days of lockdown, there is a tendency to exaggerate. This industry is going to shut down for next 3 4 months. The tourism is going to be affected. So there is a tendency to exaggerate things at the outset of a crisis like COVID. But down the line, 3 months, 4 months down the line, and things are not as bad as people expected, especially in our interaction with the industry. In the beginning, they said, hey, there's not going to be any hiring for the next 3 4 months. And that was not the case, because we saw hiring resuming in June or July. So what we do first and foremost in a time of crisis is to try to manage this uncertainty and try to get a perspective of how it is actually looking right now than assuming things. And then another point I want to emphasize for all of you here is don't do it alone in this time of crisis. Seek help. When I say seek help, you should seek help in setting a direction for yourself and getting a solid advice. You should seek help when it comes to learning a new skill, and you should also seek help when it comes to job search and doing a professional networking. And when you do all these things, just don't go into all the forums and take advice from random people. I would suggest take advice from people who know what they are doing and who are good at what they are doing. So one danger in talking to people who think and act like us is like it kinds of become an echo chamber. If I am afraid and if I talk to another person who is also afraid, they are going to affirm your thoughts, and then both of you are going to say, okay, this is doomed situation. So this is a trap. So in this time of situation, take a deep breath and seek for help. So think about reaching out to people who are the best in what they're doing, best in terms of teaching, best in terms of guiding, and then don't do it by yourself, because it can be exhausting, especially in times of a crisis. And I just want to talk a little bit about impact on opportunities. As I said, there was at the beginning of lockdown, there was a very sharp dip in the hiring in the month of April and May. Even when we talked to our hiring partners, they said a number of open positions were closed, and they did not anticipate hiring to resume in another 3 or 4 months. So some companies, they were also on the wait and watch mode because they did not know how situation unfold. So instead of hiring a full-time employees, they even now they are hiring as interns and contractors. So to see how things will eventuate. And contrary to our expectations, we had highest number of interviews in June, especially at least from Skill-Lync. We sent our candidate to so many interviews, like even without lockdown, we did not hit that many numbers. So when we see things in the media like it's all gloom and doom, and then when we go into reality, it is a different case. So I would suggest you guys to not to get swayed with every big news coming your way, but rather than take a step backwards and see if it is actually true. Right now, if we look into the job situation, we saw a lot of hiring activity with a 2 years to 6 years experience bracket. And the general consensus across the industry is like the situation is not as bad as everybody thought. especially in the last 24 hours, we see the number of automobiles being sold. The sales of automobiles is not drastically down as compared to the previous year. So yes, it was a great shock for the industry at the beginning of lockdown. But if you ask us now, it is not as bad as we thought. And impact and opportunity, when you think about impact and opportunities, it's also emphasized and it also highlight that this is a time for learning and upskilling, because everybody is waiting and watching. And to make, what do we do in this situation is to make the best use of time, which is learning. uh, Surya, I think you will come back to this question at some point. It's like, what are recruiters' expectation? But before I go on to that, Surya, do you want me to cover any other specific topic as
No,
well?
no, go ahead. Just go ahead. We can discuss this again as well.
Certainly, Surya. Thank you very much. So, what do recruiters expect at this time? So it is not drastically as different that recruiters are going to expect something very new, because we always know that end of the day, when there is a demand for a skill in an industry, there is a very specific set of expectation from a recruiter's end. So I want to emphasize on very important things based on the placements that we have done in the past year and based on the current hiring that is happening for some of our candidates. So this is no magic, guys. So end of the day, it's all a very predictable set of expectations from recruiters. And when we know these are the specific set of expectations, I believe every one of you can work on these things. It's not that difficult. So first point the recruiters expect is like, be strong in your fundamentals. Whether you are electrical, from an electrical domain or a mechanical domain or a civil domain, be strong in your fundamentals. If you are talking about mechanical engineering, be strong with your strength of materials. Be strong in GD concepts like GD&T and all those things. There is no excuse for a fresher to go for an interview and to say I'm not so good in this field. So you are not going to project a good image about yourself. So this is not a rocket science. For most of our students, we also encourage, hey, how about you spend at least 45 minutes to 1 hour each morning, maybe 6 to 7, and that is going to make a huge difference just in 2 weeks. And most of the fundamental materials is going to be available online. It is going to be free. And one way to address your panic is to educate yourself, and that instills confidence in you. So my strong suggestion is like, regardless of the field you choose, regardless of the tool you are currently learning or about to learn, be strong in fundamentals, because this is going to be one of the deciding factors in your interview. And secondly, I want to talk about technical aptitude and know the fundamentals in electrical, mechanical, whatever field may be. Uh, be well versed in the knowledge that you think the obvious questions, right? So if there's a mechanical interview, you are going to expect these are the standard questions. So be strong in technical aptitude. And one other thing to impress your recruiter or to get the attention of your recruiter is to have a very strong portfolio. Say for example, if you are a design engineer, you should be able to put out a portfolio that speak for yourself. So when you talk, when you're strong in fundamentals, when you if your skill is good, your portfolio will speak for yourself. And that is why we at Skill-Lync, we have a very dedicated projects portfolio where our students do all their work, industry relevant work, and it becomes a showcase for the students, and it speaks for themselves. And then what else do the recruiters expect? Do mastery in tools. If you are learning any software, don't just be a beginner or intermediate level. Aspire to be a master in that tool, because by and large, recruiters, they want to hire somebody who can be readily deployable in their projects. They don't look for somebody who can hire and they train for 3 months and then they deploy in projects. Most likely, the clients will require the resource to be deployed in projects as soon as possible. So the more ready you are, the more ready you are, take ownership of whatever you are doing, the more likely you are going to get through that interview. And most obvious, another thing is communication. If you are deployed in a client location, you are able to understand what they say, and you should be able to express what you are doing. So these are the obvious stuff. There cannot be any compromise on these things. And sometimes I get call from recruiters, say they says, hey Venkat, give us a really good person with a good attitude who will be willing to learn and who will be a good team player. And sometimes for whatever that's not making up, we can train. So attitude really matter, guys. So if they see you can easily gel with the team, that is what recruiters are looking at. There can be 10 candidates, and what recruiters are afraid of doing is like hire somebody and who is going to be a pain in the team. So that is not what they're looking forward to. So if you prove yourself, you can express yourself as being a very good a person of a good attitude, then that's going to help you. And with respect to the COVID situation, what will happen in the near future? Will every company will try to achieve to see transparency in the productivity. This is something we did in our own company as well, Skill-Lync as well. Before we disbanded from our office work and we started from work from home, companies would like to see you are actually contributing as an individual. So uh, with work from home might probably becoming a norm in many companies, or it be partly implemented in many companies. One of the things that recruiter would want to see, that you will be able to take the ownership of the task and you are able to do it, complete it on an individual basis. So no longer people can hide behind the teamwork, no longer people can hide behind others' effort. So when it comes to going forward with the where it is going now, so there will be greater transparency in tracking your productivity as an individual, and there will be an emphasis on individual contribution. So we have virtual interviews happening for some of our candidates. So recently we placed on our masters in electric vehicle candidates, two of them in the month of July and August. So the process is more or less similar to how it was happening before. The only difference is the companies are more prepared to do their interviews online. For example, one of the interviews that required a complex design included a task being emailed to our students, and the company gave 3 days to complete the model, to come up with a model with their concept. And then for the second round of the test, there was a live test. The company will be online and you will be required to do some design modification while the employers can see from the other end. And the next step that happened was there was a very deep conversation about the questioning about the model that they have developed. For example, in one of the recent interviews, the company required the student to develop a wall mount for a Samsung tablet. So that is, once the student submitted the model, there were nearly a 2-hour discussion on the specifications of that model, and there will be questions from your work. And then for the further round, they suggested a small revision and a small enhancement, and the student was required to do a small enhancement. And post that, the HR interviewed for the final negotiations, and then because the company was headquartered in the US, the student was also required to appear for a Skype interview, face-to-face interview, and then the student was onboarded online. So this is a very recent experience we had. We placed one of our students as design engineer in a US-based company in Hyderabad, and this is the virtual hiring that is happening right now. So going forward, you can expect similar kind of hiring happening in your domain. As I said, things will be they will be required. They require you to do offline, or they may require to do online while they are still watching your screen. I just want to talk about a little bit about ecosystem to succeed. I would want to emphasize that there is no one thing that will single-handedly help you succeed. It has to work together. The first thing that is going to help you to get hired, obviously, is going to be your knowledge and your skills. And secondly, you apply those knowledge and skills in practice by learning a tool and practicing in a tool. And another thing that is going to help you is like to have a good mentors. As I said, don't have to do it by yourself when you are in a confusion. The first step is to seek clarity, get things clear, get clear in your mind, and make sure that whatever field you are venturing into, whatever position you are aspiring is right for you, because some of the positions might require a higher degree of creativity. Some of the professions might require a higher degree of analytical skills. If you're going into programming and coding, yes, you might need analytical skills. If you're going to design, you should have a knack for creativity. So all mentors can tell you whether it's going to be suitable for you in the long run, or it is going to be sorry, I think I have to share my screen again.
Hey Venkat, yeah, please share your screen. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. So you should definitely have mentors. And what we do at Skill-Lync, like for the students enrolled, we also give a very comprehensive counseling. We don't rush that process. We sit together with the student. We spend more than 1 or 2 sessions with 40 minutes each, getting to know their UG score, their PG score, their strengths, whether they are good in math, whether they are good in communicating, whether they are flexible to move to cities. We look at a lot of factors before we can confidently say, hey, this is the role that is right for you. And there is a good possibility that sometimes we just get carried away by some sensational news and enroll in a course that may not be appropriate for you. So my advice would be have good mentors in your field who have achieved in their field. It might be difficult to get their contact in the beginning. Probably 8 out of 10 may not help you, but if you are persist, the two people might be able to help you. But start there and grow a good network. One base requirement for a skilling candidates that we have is like they should have at least 500 connections in their LinkedIn profile who are an experts, who are experienced, who will be able to help them. So we require them to build this network within a span of 2 weeks, and the student must have 500 connections in that particular field. Why? Because that way you are informed, that way you will know what is happening in the industry, you understand the expectations, and you are visible to them, and they are visible to you when it comes to posting any opportunities. And one example is we recently placed a student in the first week of August, Shikar Saraswat. He was aggressive in networking. So he managed to network so hard that he was able to connect with the founder of Convergent Science and had an one-on-one session. So those kind of activities like show that how important professional networks are, and it gives you a professional visibility to the recruiters. And when recruiters punch in a few keywords in the LinkedIn, you should be the person that should come up in their results. So you should maintain such a standard. And the last thing, obviously, guys, is hard work and resilience. When things are testing, when it's a testing times, when doors shut on your face on so many times, one thing that is going to take through this is resilience. If you give up in 3 days, it's like even when an opportunity comes in a fourth day, you'll be missing out. And doing by yourself is hard. That's why you rely on a group, you rely on a lot of things. So cast your net as wide as possible. You never know which net gets you the fish. That's how we see it. And even with skilling candidates, we encourage them to apply by themselves. We give them opportunities, and we connect them to the experts. And for the students who really stand out, we personally recommend their profile to companies to hire them. So when you are so good, when you are so visible, there will be people who will be able to take you to recruiters. And why you should never give up trying hard work and applying is like, just even today I got few messages in LinkedIn saying, hey, this is my profile, can you get a suitable opportunity for me? So if somebody asked me 10 days ago, I might have forgotten. But if this is a skill, I can see right in front of my screen, and if somebody had asked me for a requirement yesterday, then I can just connect these two people and there is a placement happening. So yeah, as I said, the last thing that's going to get through you is like hard work and resilience. So if not for any other thing, some people, they just crack through the opportunities just because they are persistent. And Surya can add so many personal stories and in his life, and many of our students life as well. Just because you are persistent, things just open up, just because you do not give up. So all these things work together. That's why I put a picture here is you in the middle, and all these things that are going to help you. And there needs to be a balance. It's not only knowledge, it's not only the tool knowledge, it's not only the networking. All these things work in cohesion to get you placed. This is one of our favorite quotes, right? And we have seen hold we see this statement to be true in most of our successful candidates. So if you are willing, you will find a if you are willing, you will find a way. If you're unwilling, you will find an excuse. It's like if you start giving excuses like, hey, companies are not hiring, I'm not getting any responses, I don't see many advertisements. So this can fall into the category of an excuse. And if you are filing, you will find a way. It's like you will talk to people and you will connect with people that you have not done before. You will be enrolled in a course and you will learn new things that you have not been before. So I would suggest be a person who will be categorized as one who finds a way, and not someone who can give an excuse. And even with the large candidate pool we have dealt in the past, we have seen the students who get really quickly placed are the ones who are really, really driven. So they will go out of their way to find an opportunity. I'll just give you another example. 2 weeks ago, we placed a student in IIT Hyderabad, IIT Kanpur, and a collaborating organization called Vitol Aviation. So this student, he applied for nearly 12 IITs in India, and without even caring whether there is an open position or not. So at one point, he even lost a count of how many applications he did because he was more driven. So rejection did not stop him, and no response did not stop me. And end of the day, when I was having a chat with him, hey, can you tell me how many applications you did? It's like, sir, I did not even keep track because I was hoping that even at least one IIT will provide me an opportunity. And it turned out to be the case. So he was hired as a research intern at IIT Hyderabad. So the position was not even advertised in the website. But this is about knocking door. Okay, so don't give up, guys. So being persistent will land you in a job whether or not there is a position. And in my personal experience, when I have referred candidates in the past, they have even created a position for the candidate just because of the attitude. So if you are a right candidate, the companies will not want you to let go. They might even create a position for you. And this is not something unheard of, and probably it's not very prevalent, but it is not something uncommon. Um, Surya, I'm just going into technicals of what we do in skill. And before that, do you want to touch upon any of these things?
No, go ahead, Rami.
Right. Guys, right now I take a few minutes to just tell you how our team works in Skill-Link. So the team consists of two main teams. One is customer success executives. So we assign as dedicated customer success executive for each master's graduate who's studying with us, and they get individual attention in building their CVs and LinkedIn, all those. The other part of our team is also a B2B executives whose only job is to reach out to companies and look for opportunities for you guys. So how does customer success process at Skill-Link work? So if you are a Skill-Link master's student, you will be doing anywhere between 8 to 12 courses in your master's course. So our expectation is that if a student complete at least 2 courses and a minimum of 10 projects, then we begin to give them career assistance. The reason is very, very simple. Why do we set this criteria? Because we cannot give a job for somebody who do not know what they are doing, who do not know what they are good at. So that is for that reason we ask them to complete at least 2 courses, making sure that they have the skill before they apply for the job. So this goes back to what I said previously. It's like you have to decide about what you want to get into and learn that skill before you frantically get into searching for jobs. Otherwise, what will happen is like you will be applying for 100 jobs, they will be getting a standard reply, and you end up being depressed. So the problem is to project the skills that know the skill and learn the skill and project the skill to the job market so that you can attract vacancies. And why do we require a minimum of 10 projects? Because when we know a student has done a minimum of 10 industry relevant project, we know that the student would have learned all the features. We know the student would have got enough practice so that when they go for an interview, they don't feel like an interview. They can easily ace it. I will give you some examples in the following slides of why this is important and how this has worked for us. So when you complete 2 courses and then done a handful of projects, that's when a career assistance begins. So in a general sense, even if you're not a skilling candidate, you should aspire to know a skill, and then you should be able to give us very good strong portfolio, a project portfolio that will speak for yourself, that will speak for you, that will speak about you. So your work speaks for yourself. When you do a really good job, your project speaks for you, and that's what recruiters look at. So what do skilling customer success process do? So we do job assistance. We connect you with recruiters. We just send you an email that is full of list of jobs that is being advertised on that particular day, and we help you work on improve your CV to the best possible standard. And we help you with the LinkedIn process. So we tell you how to what kind of communication you should do, what should be your LinkedIn header, and how many connection you should have, and what kind of connection you should have if you are aspiring for a particular job title. And we help you to improve your projects portfolio. So project portfolio is something quite a deal in Skill-Link. So people cannot copy, you cannot copy others' work, and it cannot be any random project. Each project will be tested by a support engineer, and you have to write your own projects. And the level of work that goes into it will be you reap the benefit several years down the line. And we have seen so many placement just because students have got a really strong project portfolio. And another area we help students is the interview preparation. So even if you may be an already a working professional, or you may not have appeared for an interview ever. This is your first interview. So regardless of the situation, our team will be able to guide with interview preparations. And especially we are becoming really strong in the area of mock interviews. Um, over the every week, our master's candidates are given mock interviews ranging from basic interview questions to advanced in whatever field you are, electrical, mechanical, civil engineering. So we make it so difficult for students that sometimes, to be honest, they don't pick up our calls, and then we insist they take the call. Sometimes freshers tend to do that because they are really afraid, they are not confident to speak. But we set an atmosphere that it is okay to fail, it is okay to be afraid, it is okay to make mistakes. That is the whole point of mock interview. Unless you begin to address the situation, unless you begin to face the interviews, how will you gain confidence? So our end of the day, what we do is like we do not leave the student. We call them week after week, and we follow with them until they lose the fear. We follow with them until they learn the fundamentals and they are able to answer the questions. And we are getting some flaming feedbacks about how it has helped them in the mock interviews. So this is something we do, and this is a structure that I would urge you guys to follow. And all these things can help you to land in a job. And I will just quickly go through a few examples, and I tell you why these people are significant. Normally, in a job market, we are afraid that only the best of the best candidates, only the tier one college students, only the campus students get placed. And Skill-Lync did. We went the other way. We went and we hired I mean, we onboarded a few students from tier 2 tier 3 colleges from towns, tier 2 towns, and then we rigorously trained them. And we thought it's like, if we train them rigorously and see what happens. So Lakmar is one such a guy, and he's from a tier 2 college, and we trained him for 3 months. And these students, a group of 7 students, they trained for about 3 months with us, spending 8 to 10 hours a day, uh, putting their hard work for 8 to 10 hours a day. So consequently, they had Kumar got 15 opportunities. We gave him 5 mock interviews. We gave him 20 tool tests, and he was an opportunity hunter. If there is an interview in Pune, he would go. If there is an interview in Chennai, he would go. If there is an interview in Coimbatore, he will go. So he ended up getting an offer with Satyam Ventures, and the persistence and the willpower to not give up, and he changed himself, being a very introvert, and to be available. So this is one beautiful story of how a person from tier 2 colleges from remote towns can also get placed in top companies. And likewise, Ritik is the same case. He was in the same batch. We gave him, because of the training, we gave him 5 opportunities. We gave him 4 mock interviews. He appeared for tool tests, and he was quite a sharp guy, so he did not need many tool tests. So he was self-driven. And for all the students, we give a study plan, right? So this is something you have to learn. This you have to watch video on this date, and you have to finish this challenge by this date. So he was committed to that study plan. He never missed the date, and we are not surprised that such committed students get placed easily. So he was deputed for Ford through RLE. And Adarsh, similar student, we trained him, and we ended up getting 3 offers on the same month. So one thing, the one feature about Adarsh, we would say, is like cooperation. So if we ask him to do anything, he will willingly do. So sometimes people say, "Hey, this is too much for me, and you are asking too much of my time. I cannot wake up in the morning. I'm working." So these kind of excuses will not cut in an interview. So your availability and patience will get you through jobs. And Chika Saraswat is a classic example. He has been an MHGV student with us, and he knew what he wanted, to the point that he said no to opportunities, to the offers that he got. So even you might say it might be risky, but it also shows how important for an individual to set a clear goal, to follow that, and to pursue that with all he has, even at a cost of forgoing a few opportunities. So it took a few months, but because of his persistence, we are happy to place him last week as a senior engineer in simulation R&D with Amber Enterprises, which is the major supplier for all the OEMs air conditioning solutions in India. And another highlight is like, this is his first job in a core industry, and his first position is a senior engineer, and he's the first R&D engineer going to be in that company. So we can see how a very disciplined approach, very committed approach can land a fresher in a senior role, maybe a first person in that company. So these are, I wanted to put these very recent stories because these placements are happening right in the time of COVID wave, right at the time when they say it's not happening. And when you look at Shikar, it's like I lost track of how many tool tests I gave him. We lost track of how many mock interviews we gave him because he made the most of the resources available with us. Because he lost the fear, he gained confidence, and he cleared technical doubts. How many times our technical support engineers had an exclusive session with him. So we are a kind of company, if we see a driven student, we will put everything behind them to make them succeed. And we are very happy, and we are really proud to see Shikar as a fresher being placed as a senior engineer. And another placement that happened in the COVID situation is Dilip. Dilip is a 2020 pass out fresher. He enrolled with us a few months ago, and he started taking a couple of courses. And one thing that I appreciate in Dilip's story is like he is driven. Just like the another student who applied for 12 IITs, he started applying because he productively used his time and studies even when he was in college. He made sure he was strong in fundamentals while he was spending time in his college. And then when he came to us, he topped up his knowledge with the tools that he needed. And then when he went for the interview, we got a very flaming feedback from the recruiter saying he started giving outstanding result on right from day one. So this encourages to work hard for our students even more. And this is another example of how people are able to find opportunities even at the time of COVID. If you sit there thinking a job opportunity is going to fall in your mailbox, I would strongly suggest take a different approach and be proactive and go on an offensive mode, go and hunt down opportunities, because this position was never advertised in the first place. Somebody referred the company to us. We had a chat with the HR, and then these guys were right at the top of the course. They finished all their exercises. They were ready to go. So I just connected with them in the same evening. The next day, the interview happened, and within a week, the offer was rolled out. So I would say, guys, at most of the time, getting a job is about preparation, meeting an opportunity. So we don't get ready when an opportunity comes. We will be ready, and then we grab the opportunity. So I just want to encourage the people who here. We don't want to overcomplicate things. I know COVID can be a very fearful situation, an uncertain situation, and some of you might have worked, some might have lost a job. Uh, as I said, I just want to tie this small session by going back to what I said in the beginning. Try to gain a perspective. Don't be driven by your own feelings, but look into the facts, and don't be passive about job listings. Go and find out for yourself, dig out the opportunities, and upskill yourself. And when you upskill, do it with the people who can do the best, and find the best place that will train, and start from there. Because unless you are confident in one particular skill, you will be less confident all through your job search, and all the job application responses are going to be similar. So project yourself as a competent person, as a learned person, as a mature person, as somebody who is very well informed about what is happening, and that is a safe place to be. So thank you for your session. If you have any questions, or if you need any help, I need some guidance, some kind of uh, guidance from where should I go from this point. If you have any sort of questions, feel free to write email to us, and we will get back to you with our help.
Guys who are attending the webinar, you can also ask any question that you have with respect to, say, hiring in automotive, hiring in civil, hiring in electrical engineering domains, and how COVID is affecting right now. And probably we can basically take all those questions and move forward from there. I'll basically take the first question. Vineet is asking minimum of 10 projects for getting eligible for skilling placements. Are challenges same as projects? Vineet, challenges are not same as projects, Vineet. Projects in every coursework, you basically end up working on 3 to 4 projects. So ideally, if you're finishing, say, 2.5 to 3 courses, so a master course basically has six to seven more coursework, 7 individual courses along in it. And if you basically finish anywhere between 2 to 3 courses, you will have finished 10 projects, and that basically allows us to start sharing your portfolio with recruiters. And that's what Ramani mentioned.
And hi Venkat. So thank you so much for the brilliant presentation. I hope this will be the questions that people are looking for when it comes to answers. So we'll take the second question from Pranav Kulkarni. Sir, please guide me about CHAP and how is it beneficial for civil engineer?
Sorry, can you pass me again, Kaushik?
Yeah. So please guide me about SAP and how is it beneficial for civil engineer?
Okay, I'll take that question. Say, for example, um, who was that question from?
It's from Pranav Kulkarni.
Pranav, at this point in time, say, for example, SAP, right now we do not have a lot of idea about SAP, and especially for civil engineering, because one of the primary things is we have a lot of idea about the courses that we offer and the skills that we offer. So SAP is not one of the courses that we offer currently. So unfortunately, Pranav, we might not be the best people to kind of answer that question. So in general, SAP is one of the most required skills. So what we have seen is basically you can go to LinkedIn or Naukri and basically search for civil engineering and SAP as the keywords, and basically see what is the number of roles that are out there. And if you basically take a look at that, what you will get is, okay, there are these many opportunities. Then you will understand what are the key responsibilities of those opportunities, and then make sure you have those responsibilities already in you, right? So responsibilities can also be kind of skills. So make sure you have the skills. So in general, this is the approach that you should take with respect to any particular opportunity that you are applying for. So,
Thanks, Surya.
Ramni, the next question is from Sumed.
Yeah.
How to approach people in LinkedIn to ask for job?
Okay. Thank you for this question, Sumit. So when you go to somebody, and first and foremost, you should have a very strong profile to look at. So you should have when I look into your profile, you should give a clear idea of what you are doing. At least it's like which background you are from. So even your LinkedIn activities is beginning to show up in the right in the below the headlines, right? So I would look into the activities and see if you are a serious person in that industry or not. Why I'm saying this is like often we get connection requests from people and then they see a lot of things they're using as Facebook, and then the recruiters get an impression that you are not serious enough with the field. So the starting point is to clean up your profile and make it look absolutely professional, and project yourself as a person who can offer something. So when I say project yourself as a person who can offer something, you are probably you should start looking at putting in your header, like for example, if you are a design engineer, say you are a design engineer. If you are a FE engineer, so your header should say if you're an FE modeler. So very quick glance at your profile will give an indication that whether you are going to be a serious student or not, a serious candidate or not. So your can that should also include your education qualification and the project STEM. So before somebody responds to a request from LinkedIn, they make quick judgments whether you like it or not, whether you release or not. So people make judgments, and based on that judgment, they give you the responses. So if you come across as being very unprofessional, they may just pass that request and they may not honor it. But rather, instead, if you have cleaned up your profile and then if you have written me a very professional message, hey, this is my skill set and this is what I am looking at, then there is a very good opportunity that you will get responses for such requests. So sometimes I get just a blank messages in LinkedIn with just the resume attached. It will say hi Venkat, and then there's a resume and there is nothing else. So yes, you can approach, but when you approach, I should get an impression that you have put some efforts into that message, at least making yourself clear of what you want. And as I said before, you should aspire to connect with people who are in the similar field of your interest or your expert. So when you search in that ecosystem, the chance of getting more responses are high. Just don't connect with people outside anything just for the sake of connecting. Be conscious and deliberate about building your connection. And within that ecosystem, within that circle, the response might be a better.
So yeah, one of the things you guys need to think about is how the algorithm of LinkedIn works, right? So if you basically think about that, you start understanding how to approach it. Say, for example, you have 10 people in your network, right? Say if you have only 10 people in your network, what happens is you do a skilling project and you post about that project on LinkedIn. So out of this 10 people, say only 2 people are active on that particular day. And if the 2 people only seeing your post, there is say probably only 2 likes, right? So what happens if somebody likes? Say if these 2 people have say 500 connections, all the 500 people that are connected to these 2 people get to know that they have liked your project, right? So now scale this to somewhere around 500 people in your network, right? What starts to happen is that you start working on projects and your projects become viral. So have you so you might see a lot of viral posts, right? So think about how these posts become viral. It's because the people who post have a lot of connections, and when they start posting, people regularly see, okay, this guy has been working on X, Y, and Z projects, and it looks really good, right? So one of those kind of things that kind of started kind of attracting me is a recent project, right? Say, for example, this is a recent project. Joffin Lewis took up our coursework and designed this yacht. And so he basically posted it online, and he has 176 comments and 1800 likes, right? Think about it, right? And to get to 1800 likes, you basically need to at least your post should reach to at least 50,000 people, right? And that's the network of virality, right? And what you will see is, say for example, a lot of people from, say, Dassault, people from say SolidWorks started commenting on this, and Joffin Lewis basically had an opportunity pop up. So somebody wanted Joffin Lewis to kind of work for them as well. So these are the opportunities that we see, and the reason that you need to have a great LinkedIn profile is because, so I'm just going to my notifications, right? So if I basically go to my notifications, you will see a lot of people basically posting their projects, right? And these are different people, right? And so I can just click on this, and I will see what this particular student has done. And what happens is, when they work on these projects, their ability, so they basically put their final report out here as well. I can click on the final report and go there. But think about it, you wouldn't have done a project of this size in your undergrad, and you basically working on 10 to 15 projects like this in a master course of Skill-Lync allows you to showcase to the industry that you know what the industry is working on. And every project basically has a detailed project report, right? Say for example, this is a pre-processing of a car suspension model using ANSA, and you can basically see the amount of detail that a student has kind of put in, right? And these are all aspects that recruiters look for. How much knowledge, how much theoretical knowledge does a student have? And on top of that, what is the ability of the student to apply this knowledge in a particular computational tool in order to make life easy for everybody, right? So this is something that is really important. And when you write these kind of projects and reports, your ability to crack a job just multiplies into 10, right? So these are things that you need to kind of think about at a consistent basis, right? So yeah, Kaushik, you can go for the next question.
Thanks, Surya. Thank you so much. Uh, there is a question from Praful Raj. So, what type of project that I can do to get placed in automotive companies? Over to you, Venkat.
So, Praful, there are multiple, again, automotive as a whole is a very big domain, right? So you can think about computational fluid dynamics in automotives, which basically belongs to external aerodynamics, internal IC engine simulations, internal conjugate heat transfers on batteries, and so on. Then you have computation, CAE, or subset of probably finite element analysis, where you have your structural durability and so on. Then you have design. So there are multiple domains in an automotive industry. So the first thing that you need to be more specific about is what is the particular domain that you want to specialize in. Once you basically get an understanding of that particular domain, then the next step out there is to kind of start working on the so say if you're looking into finite element analysis, right? So then you basically start learning structural analysis, what is solid mechanics, what is strength of materials, then start working on any pre-processing tool, a solver, and a post-processor. So when you start working on these projects, your ability to kind of crack interviews will become easier. So this is where our masters in computer-aided engineering or masters in pre-processing and design kind of comes helpful for a lot of our students. Right, and okay, so Shresht, Shresh says, I saw the course price is like 25K. It's too high. Is there any course, any scholarship test or any type of discount? Shresh, I think so master courses are somewhere around 1.5 lakhs, right? So what happens is in each master course, you end up working on at least 15 to 18 projects, right? And this kind of defines individual's career itself. Say, for example, I can show multiple portfolios that like this. So all you need to do is kind of go to Skill-Lync and search for, say, probably Shresha or whoever you. There are a lot of profiles, and you can go take a look at it. So what happens is when you enroll in a Skill-Lync course, you basically develop a portfolio of projects. So these are type of projects that students work on, and these projects are really important to kind of help you get a job, right? So think about this. So these many projects, nobody might have done in their undergraduation degree, right? And if you go take a look at the kind of projects that the students do, and all these projects are very in-depth and detailed, right? You cannot get these projects in say probably any other coursework, right? So because we put so much effort in developing these kind of courses, and also making sure every course has an industry oriented project. So for example, in this particular course, the student basically kind of simulates the intake flow, simulates the combustion process, simulates the emission process, and so on, right? And say for example, I'll just play this. So this is a simulation of the spray injection, and how that kind of happens. And like knowing these skills kind of is life changing, because these are what industries look for, right? So this is what you're paying for. And so yeah, unfortunately, since we basically have people working in the industry develop our coursework, our courses need to be at that price, so that it can provide value to the student and also value to us as a business. So yeah, there might be scholarship test that we have in our platform, so you can take a look at it and work on it. But yeah, that's something that I wanted to say. I did see a question on electric domain placements. I think we had a placement in say Aether, probably in the end of last year. So that was one particular domain student, and there are like a couple more that I can basically provide examples. Probably just reach out to Kaushik, and he might provide you an email ID, and we can send you the details as well. Praveen, what is the future of plastic product design, i.e. trims, because very less openings now compared to last year? When it will, Praveen, see, plastics are the future, right? The reason, because the reason is plastics are are kind of lightweight. That is one aspect of it, and cheaper, right? So, and kind of provide the same kind of strength and endurance of a metal component, right? So a lot of automotive industries are moving towards plastic. So I would assume that there will be a lot of opportunities in plastic design that might pop up in this year itself. So especially since COVID, the number of opportunities might not have been that great. But if you are looking to develop your skill sets in plastic product design, I would say this is the right time to do that, because there will be definitely a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. So just quickly, I want to add to that. And
Go ahead.
yeah, and the recent placement with in Hyderabad Acquisition is for a plastic product designer. As I said, they wanted to develop a new product development, and how they tested was to give wall mount for a Samsung tablet. So uh, with that regards, there is still an opening, but we have to go and find for opportunities rather than relying on standard job boards. And we also, when it comes to EV placement question, I just want to quickly add, we placed Mohammed Dabir in Exo Mobility, which is a EV related company. We placed very recently in Pune. Thank you.
Yeah.
Over to you, Surya.
Thanks, Venkat. Sorry, I was on mute. There are a lot of questions. So you didn't make a video about master in electric design domain. Please give placement details for a fresher electrical engineer. Sure, Prakash, we'll make a video for that. Lokesh, I have passed out in 2018, lost a year, and now I want to do these courses by doing full-time job. Is it correct decision, or it will create more gap to enter into the course? So Lokesh, this is a great question, right? This question I hear a lot of times, like Venkat might also hear a lot of times. The question is, hey, I graduated in 2018, 2017, 2019, whatever year you graduated. I have not got a job, but right now what I want to do is I want to basically take a additional master course in Skill-Lync, and then search for a job. But I fear that this additional 1 year that I'm going to spend is going to create a huger gap in my in my academics or in my resume, right? So what happens is, if you do not take these courses, if you do not, like, I'm not going to say if you do not take these courses, but if you do not upskill yourself, at the end of the day, you're not going to get the job that you need in the next 1 year, because you do not have the skill, right? Eventually you need to acquire those skills to get a job in the domain that you want. Now, taking a skilling coursework, what will happen is, it will not create a gap, it will showcase that you have spent a year or 6 months or 8 months in developing those skill sets. So it is like you going to college, it's just that you're doing it online. So it will not create a gap, but it will create a line in skill in your resume, which says master of, say, masters in hybrid electric vehicle design, started in July 2020, finished in say June 2021, and by the time you finish, you will also have a job, right? So Lokesh, I wouldn't be feared about the gap. So if you're looking to learn a particular coursework, that's the right way to go about it, because if you do not do that, your ability to kind of crack the job that interests you might kind of decrease. So eventually you will have that gap, and that gap only increases. Sagar, I have done my graduation in 2016, but till now I have 2 years of experience in other field. I choose CFD master course, but this time no much recruitment in that of CFD. So I fear, how can I overcome it? Sagar, the only thing that you need to do is start working on, like, finish the projects, right? By the time that you finish the CFD master course, you will be able to kind of showcase the projects that you have done, and there will be opportunities, because we are seeing opportunities, right? And one of the things that, say for example, even in CFD, we do not have people with who have finished, say, more than 3 to 4 fundamental courses in the CFD master course, who we can offer to the industry. So I would definitely recommend you to kind of go through the coursework, finish it as fast as possible, so that we can help you out.
Yeah. Surya, I'll quickly add to that.
Yeah.
In the past 3 months, it's like we have done 3 placement, and all these placements, they have also, the students have specialized in the work they have chosen is CFD. So once again, I may be repeating myself, but when it comes to CFD, we have to be proactive in finding the companies and reaching out to them directly. And if you have not reached out to them and you only relied on job boards, please talk to us and we will assist you with finding the right opportunity.
Great. Thank you, Venkat. Vineet, can you tell some reliable websites where we can find mechanical engineering fresher jobs? Like, Vineet, I think that's what basically Venkat said. So there is Naukri, LinkedIn, Indeed, and so on. But yeah, so what I would recommend is start looking at, be very active in LinkedIn, start looking for jobs in LinkedIn. And from there, once you start building your network, you can also reach out to people. Do not just ask, hey, I want a job, can you give me a reference, right? That's the worst thing that you can do in LinkedIn. Nobody is going to help you out there, right? Kind of build your portfolio, showcase that, hey, I have worked on these topics, this is my skills, here are some of the projects that I've worked on, and say, I'm also on the lookout for a job. In case there is any other opportunities that you know of, could you please let me know? It would be of great help. So if you basically do this way, then people will be interested in helping you out. So it is like when someone just asks you that, hey, I need a job, they might think that you do not have the skills, and you just ignorant of the fact that you do not have the skills. But when you showcase that you have the skill and you basically want a job, then they will be more interested in doing that. Aravind, hello, sir. I'm a graduate and I'm going to start the master course in HEV. As my parents live in UK, I want to work in UK directly. Can you help me getting a job there in HEV or CFD domain? Aravind, one of the difficult things to do is kind of do a cross-country job help, right? Because say if you are in UK and you want a job in UK, definitely you will be able to get a job, right? There will be multiple people. Say for example, I'll just share my screen and show you a few things. So for example, let me kind of so Orge Martin. So this guy took up our CFD masters and also our HEV masters, and he currently works at Bombardier in the UK, right? But he also was in UK before enrolling in the coursework, so visa was not a problem for him, right? So that's something that you need to take into account, because visa will become a problem if you're applying from India to UK. Say if your parents are already in UK and you have kind of a residency or something like that, then things become easier. So if you take care of the visa thing, our ability to kind of get jobs anywhere in the world becomes easy. Jafar Siddiq, I'm an MTech CAD-CAM student. How should I move on from here to getting a job? Like Jafar, again, it so say for example you're done MTech in CAD-CAM, probably you're interested in either design or CAE. Make sure you have a very good portfolio. Start building your LinkedIn profile. Start putting your post on LinkedIn about the projects that you have done. Start reaching out to people in LinkedIn, and then start kind of applying for jobs. So that might help you. In other words, if you want to kind of learn a specific skill set, you can also take a skilling master course and take that. We kind of guide you on all those aspects of it. Shubham Raghuvanshi, presently I'm pursuing my master's in industrial design. How can I know what kind of projects company needs so that I can do as my master projects? Also, I have searched plenty of internship, but haven't got it. Please get. Shubham Raghuvanshi, so you basically, the easiest way to kind of go about this is, when you say industrial design, I'm kind of I have a few questions. Say probably, say for example, is industrial design just the industrial design, or are you looking at, say, sketching, surfacing, in general, ideation kind of design? So if ideation kind of design, there might be opportunities in top companies. You just need to see what are the opportunities or the full-time jobs that they have, what are the requirements that they have, and create a project that satisfies those requirements for finally a project. And then you basically apply to those companies saying, hey, I've already done my final year project, I covered the X, Y, and Z skills during this final year project, and would like to kind of move forward and apply for your role, right? So something to think about. uh, Sir, after completion of course, you are providing vacant positions in respective MNC, right? So people who basically finish our master course, we provide assistance in helping them get a job. So that's what we do. We have placed around 252 students till now. Nitin Chandra, I've done masters in structural engineering. What are the opportunities for me? So when you basically say structural engineering, I just want to understand if it is civil structural engineering or if it is mechanical FEA structural engineering. Uh, if you're civil structural engineering, there are a lot of civil opportunities that you can look at. If you're mechanical structural engineering, then there is CAE opportunities in ANSAP, Hypermesh, pre-processing, and also in LS Dyna and so on. So it depends upon what kind of domain that you are looking at. What is the salary range which one can expect from placements offered by Skill-Lync? So our average salary range right now is for freshers is in between 3.5 to 4 lakh package. We need. Stressed. I'm preparing for GATE. I also like CAE. Should I pursue your courses or go on with GATE? Shrest, GATE is basically your ability to understand, your ability to prove how well you have understood the theory, right? As an engineer, theory alone is not the only thing. You also need to apply the theory using practical application. So irrespective of you write a GATE or not, at the end of the day, you're going to go work for a private or a public sector company which works on say structural or a function finite element analysis problem. So there you might need computer aided engineering, and in that case, so I would definitely recommend learning those skills, so because it's a long term win for you, right? So I have 1 more minute. So unfortunately there are like multiple other questions, and I'm going to kind of pick and choose a few questions. I want to work in automotive class A sector. What kind of effort or software should I learn? Lilesh, great question. So automotive class A surfacing using Alias is something that you need to take a look at. We do have a coursework on that. Do take a look at that. It's one of the best courses in the market. So something that you can take a look at. Sir, after completion of engineering, in which field or should I go for my career option? Because I don't have a personal interest in Pratik. Great question, Pratik. So this is a common question that we kind of come across, which is, hey, I do not have a particular area of interest, but I want to be in mechanical engineering. Can you guide me to choose what domain I need to pick, right? So in that case, there are three options. If you want to go into product development in mechanical engineering, then one option is design, the other option is computational fluid dynamics, the other option is computer aided engineering in structural analysis, the other option is multipod dynamics, or the other option is electric vehicle. In your undergrad, if you're really good at engineering graphics, design of machine elements, if you like designing something, then you go to design, right? In your undergrad, if you like subjects like thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, heat transfer, then take up computational fluid dynamics. In your undergrad, if you like strength of materials, solid mechanics, finite element analysis, take up structural analysis or CAE or FEA. In your undergrad, if you're interested in kinematics of machineries, robotics, then multipod dynamics. If you are interested in electrical and electronics, basics of electrical and electronics, take up EV. So this is the easiest way for you, Pratik, to kind of solve your question, right? So once you basically go through that approach, you can easily go forward. Ashwani, I think great question, Ashwani. I think you are one of our master course students. So do reach out to Venkat. He will be happy to kind of help you out separately itself, so that you can get his help and start applying for IITs, right? So I'm going to take one question. I got an admit from university, but I deferred my admit to next year. And during this time, I want to do a project or even specialization in skilling. During this time, will it be okay to do a job or coursework? So Sumedh, I would definitely recommend you to upskill yourself, because say in a university, if you're going into an university, the main thing that you want is the right skill, so that once you get into the university, you can start applying for research assistantships or teaching assistantships. Once you get that, you get funded. Once you get funded, you have more time to kind of work on other projects. And if you work on more projects, you get internships and full-time jobs easily.